welcome to today's episode of the Do It Now Show. The question is, what are the methods by which you structure your content? And why is there a Mexican flag behind Dr. Kayvon K? And why is he in a sombrero? Because it is Mexican Independence Day. So
is
this
it
is
today?
it is. Last night was the grito in the Zocalo back in Mexico City at 11 p.m. Central Time, and people all over Mexico, including my wife's employees, are having the day off. So, it's a holiday.
What happened last night?
You'll see on my TikTok and my Instagram the reel or the video on TikTok. It's it's where they have a celebration with Padre Hidalgo. Padre Hidalgo is the father who declared in the 1800s the independence from Spain. And so he rang the bell in the church, and of course there's a whole thing of the president announces to the country, "Viva so and so, viva this person, viva that person," because these are some of the revolutionaries that they honor on Mexican Independence Day. And last night, AMLO, who is the slang for the current president of Obrador, the president, he announced things like "Viva Pueblo Indigenales," so in other words, give life to the indigenous people's towns and things. It was very controversial, and eliminate corruption and a whole bunch of other things. So he rings the bell just like Father Hidalgo did, and was it 1820 or 1810? I can't remember exactly the time. And then they have the "Viva, Viva, Viva," and then boom, the Mexican national anthem plays and fireworks, and people are just celebrating like crazy. So I think it's a lot more than Canada Day.
Well, we do have fireworks. That's what we got.
But you're not ringing the bell, are you? Or no?
No, I can't think of a bell.
Ring your bell. It doesn't ring your bell. Okay, so we talked last week.
Doesn't ring your bell, no.
You ring my bell. No, anyway, I'm not going to get in trouble with copyright infringement. So we expected John Paduchak to be here, but Father John Paduchak, I think, is in an RV somewhere in New Hampshire right now, and perhaps he's forgotten us. Maybe he's celebrating Mexican Independence Day since he grew up on a farm and they had a lot of Mexican workers when they were at harvest time. So it could be. Anything is possible today.
As long as he's okay, we're good.
Yeah, as long as he's okay. He hasn't been, taken away or something like that, abducted by aliens. I don't think they could take his whole RV because it's pretty big. Anyway, so we talked last week about the problems about running out of things to say, and what am I going to say? What am I going to say? And we pretty much, I don't say we beat that dead horse, but we really went over a lot of ways in which you can topics that you can create. And so this week, I guess the follow-up from what you had mentioned, because I completely forgot this week, I must say, is how to structure your content and the methods by which you create the content and distribute. And I think you were talking about storytelling and the story brands and a bunch of other things with which I'm unfamiliar, actually. I mean, I've heard of it, but I've just never done it.
Oh, are you? Okay. Yeah. Well, this is going to be an interesting conversation.
You're the expert.
How about a quick overview of previous call, and then we get into how to say it and all of that. Sounds good?
Sure. So previously we were talking about one of the greatest fears that people have, which is running out of things to say, or how do I pick a topic, or what is it that I'm going to be talking about? And of course, you can do simple things like asking your people what they want, but you can also do simple things like having a list of bullet points and perhaps creating an entire series of content topics within a spreadsheet, say in a Google Sheet, for example, and then refer back to those. So breaking things down point by point is very useful. And if you have a particular theme, you carry that theme all the way through your content.
You
have the simplifier is one of your themes, the other one being your profit finder.
Correct. You got it.
You have two tracks, actually.
Yeah. So we were talking about, what you just said. I really like. And by the way, we have somebody saying hello to us.
Oh, somebody's saying hello. I got to go to the chat. I have to confess that there is a wonderful person next door to me right now who is a plumber who's installing a new toilet. So it's gotten. You may hear sounds that are not.
I think
it's Cassandra. Do you want to come in, Cassandra?
Yes.
I'll let you in.
Hello, Cassandra.
John's not here today, Cassandra. So in fact, I'll send you a link.
Yes.
And you can come in should you choose to.
Beautiful. So while you do that, so we were talking. What I really like what you just said a few minutes ago, which is series. So what am I going to talk about? If we think of that question as in, I should come up with a topic. We come up with very different ideas as opposed to I want to come up with the ideas for a series. And there is another part of our brain that kicks in, and we can come up with ideas. Like we mentioned the A to Z method last time, as you just put all of the letters of the alphabet, and for each letter come up with a word. Then there is your theme. We were talking about creating a series based on the FAQs. There is this mental model, as in this is more of a, like a self improvement, self development kind of a thing, but it can apply here. Like if you don't know how to improve your life, well, like write down the list of all the ways that you can, make your life
destroy your
worse.
life. No, it's destroy your life.
Yeah, destroy your life, make your life worse, right? So
yeah, I could drink a quart of whiskey every morning for breakfast, and that would
come up with a list and just don't do those things.
Don't do those things. And I think that's one of the things in terms of coaching, and I work with other chiropractors and a few dentists and MDs, is I've had a lot of experience with a lot of mistakes. And the one thing I can tell them for sure is give them a list of things not to do.
Okay. And there you go. We have a list of content topic ideas too. Like if it's about like John short video, what are all the ways not to do this? What are the wrong ways to do this? And is a and that's another series, because each one of them you turn it around as into what actually needs to get done, and there's a point there. So there are multiple ways to think about in series and come up with topics.
Right.
Then now we have to be able to talk about them, and I like the structure of communication in everything. Like when I was in Toastmasters, one of the things that we have learned is a good speech has 3 parts to it. Beginning, tell them what you're going to tell them.
Right.
Then tell them. Then tell them what you just told them.
Tell them what you just told them. Because the hope is that people will remember at least 10% of what you were talking about.
Yes, and also they remember, they make a connection, because instead of giving them so many different points, you repeat the same thing. So you have seen people have a speech that today we're going to talk about this and that and that. Then they talk about this and that and that, and at the end they say, so today we talked about so and so and so. So this way people remember. So I'm a fan of structures for that sort of thing. And one of the easiest most effective ones that I found out is Story Brand, which is based on, I guess it's, to me, I don't know if this was Donald Miller's intention, but to me it's where Hero's Journey meets Pitch Anything. Those 2 books.
The Hero's Journey. I haven't read either. I've just heard of the Hero's Journey and looked at a lot of videos and had people tell me about the Hero's Journey.
Yes.
Like Odysseus is my favorite Hero's Journey.
The
Odyssey.
Well, the whole story, right?
Oh yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
The Iliad and the Odyssey. I love that.
To just give people a quick overview, Hero's Journey basically has 4 main parts to it, the 4 quadrants. And there are 2 things that are happening in each quadrant: the external world and the internal world. How our hero, the environment is, and how he feels inside, or he or she feels inside. So in the first quadrant, everything is good. Right. So think of the Lord of the Rings. Everything is fun. People in Shire, they have parties and fireworks and that sort of thing. Then there is call to adventure, or something really going wrong. So disaster happens. That's called the inciting incident. So Dorothy gets, the tornado, or the cyclone takes her.
The tornado takes the house up.
So that's the disaster happening. Now look what happens over there. The external environment changed, but Dorothy, she goes, no, this is not right. I'm going to get back. So external is negative, but internal is positive.
Right.
Then we go to finally accepting this is the case, and we are here. We need to do something about it. So external and internal, they're both negative.
Right.
And eventually there is a return after success and defeating the enemy. Usually it's the enemy within, that you already always had the answers with you everywhere you go. That the environment external is back to where it was, but the internal, not negative, but it's not the way it was. So Our hero is back, but he is a different kind of person. Basically, is the transformation of growth going from one stage to another. So, to use that in our communication, in selling an idea, in selling a product or a communication, the story brand has done a very like a 7-step, very practical way of putting into this. Actually, I brought the graphic of these story brands on my screen that I can share it.
Sure, let's share, because Barney said sharing is caring. So
there you go. Sharing is caring.
The purple dinosaur.
Yes.
It reminds me. So you got your screen thing here. So it was you said something just a moment ago that really clicked with me. It sort of reminds me of the whole
K, profit coach,
the whole Star Wars saga too. You know, the internal, external things, as well as, you know, any of the fantasy things that you mentioned, Lord of the Rings. It's the same deal.
Yes, and the main point about that. Let me actually move this one to this other screen so I can see what we're looking at.
Make it
so
larger,
there is a main character beside the hero, which is the guide or the helper or the mentor. So we're talking Gandalf, or we're talking Obi-Wan Kenobi, or we're talking Yoda, that they show up and help our character with direction and that sort of thing. There's also a side character that is always with the character that helps them. So we're talking Han Solo or Samwise Gamgee and that sort of thing. But
Chewie's not the sidekick. Chewie is Han Solo.
He's the sidekick to Han Solo.
There you go.
Sidekick of the sidekick.
Multiple levels. It's like Inception.
Yes. So it's like this. There is always a character.
Yeah.
That's your audience. That's the person you're talking to. That's your target market.
Correct.
That they have a problem, right? And this problem is impacting them in multiple ways. You know, there is the external, internal. How does it impact their life? How does it impact how they feel? So, for example, let's say an overwhelmed entrepreneur with so many things to do by themselves, right? They have a problem. The problem is they're always overwhelmed. They feel behind. So there is external. There is a long to-do list that they still need to catch up with. They're always running out of time. There are so many things coming at them. Internal, that makes them feel anxious, makes them feel frustrated, makes them feel stressed. So all of that. So the first part is describing this part, a character and the problem and the internal, external, philosophical part of it. Who meets a guide? And guide is us, the person who's sharing a content or a solution or a product and that sort of thing, that has a plan that tells them, hey, this is a plan that you need to follow. So in case of Frodo we need to go to Mordor and get rid of the ring, right? That sort of thing. So the plan is for the overwhelmed entrepreneur is maybe it's time management, maybe it's outsourcing, depending on what kind of expert you are. And here's the thing: the guide with the plan, 1, 2, 3, you do these things and all of that. So it's a call to adventure to come and follow this plan and take action. And guess what? If you follow the plan, it's going to lead in success. Other people who have followed my plan, they end up in success, or not, you end up in failure. So in storytelling, that's comedy or tragedy. What do you think?
So here's the thing. So I'm wondering, does this have to be a transformative experience? Does there have to be transformation involved once the person adopts the plan or the advice?
Yes, but let me clarify this. It doesn't have to be a big transformation.
No.
Right? It could be a small transformation, but yes, it's always about improvement, changing things for the better. So transformation, as in even a small transformation, is a transformation.
Got it. A small change of some sort. So in other words, like, for example, I've never done a live stream in my entire life. This time I'm going to finally have the courage to press the button and go live and look at the camera. Okay.
And how does that impact you? Those problems that you had, external and internal, now you have less of them. I'm not afraid of this anymore, or I did it, that sort of thing. So this is, again, same thing, story brand.
These are really small. Oh, that's much better. Thank you. Yes. I was just squinting.
So it's like a document. What is a template to fill out?
Yeah.
So a character, what do they want? You write stuff over here. With a problem that is impacting them externally, internally, and on a philosophical level.
Right.
Meets a guide who understands their fear through empathy, empathy. Sometimes, you hear people say, I used to be like
Right.
yourself. I used to be an overwhelmed entrepreneur. I used to be a broke carpet cleaner or whatever.
I have felt that way before
Yes,
in your empathy section.
yes. Or I have, and also I have an authority is I have helped so many other people, such
Right.
as yourself, or I have solved it for myself,
Right.
or I have really, really studied this thing. And guess what? I have summarized all of that into a plan.
Hmm.
And I always suggest a 3-step plan,
Or it could be
right?
a
So
method
like,
or a system, whatever you want to call it, as opposed to
yes,
a plan. Yeah.
follow my method, follow my
Right.
system, or sign up for my program
Yep.
for a step-by-step program.
Right.
And it's a call to action.
Hmm.
It's a direct call to action and transitional. So this means you need to do this because by the end of this, you're gonna be, do, have. You're gonna be, a less stressed entrepreneur. You're gonna be, you're gonna do more things with less time, and we're gonna have, a peace of mind or better rest, or finally can go on vacation.
Positive cash flow. And if you don't do it,
Yes,
you won't have the do, the be, and the have.
yes. So
You'll
be,
be
do, have, go
exactly where you
here,
are now, or worse.
or worse. Yes, and actually, there is no such thing as exact where you are. Things always get worse if you
Right.
don't end
And
them.
it's
Right?
entropy, baby. It's all
Yes.
about entropy.
Yes, definitely. And as you said, so by going through this, you go from that to this, and that's the transformation over there.
Got it.
Does this make sense?
Yeah, I actually like it. It's a different way of looking at the same sort of a script that you might write for a webinar or something along
Yes.
those lines. It follows it very clearly. But I
Yeah.
do
Or
like
for a short video, like a 300 word kind of a thing.
right.
You, if you put one sentence for each one of these, then you
Hmm.
have your script for a short video,
Right.
which follows the natural structure of a story, which is ingrained in us to connect with and communicate with and follow up with.
But you don't have to start out your video with once upon a time.
It would be great if you do it
You
every
could
time. So
do-
that would be your signature.
It's entrepreneurial story
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
Time to get to
Why
know the
not?
people.
That could be somebody's intro line. They
Yeah,
come up
could
with
very well
something.
be. I may steal that since it popped out of my head.
Yeah.
So
Or you see so many people say, "Well, let me give you an example."
yeah,
Actually, they're giving you a story. Or let me tell you a story. Let me tell you what happened to one of my clients. Let me tell you what I experienced. So all of them is,
right,
let's listen, let's sit down and listen to my story. And you
right.
see that every time somebody has a invitation like that, we find ourselves naturally inclined to, yeah, 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 tell me.
Tell
That's
me more.
how we're programmed.
Right. So with this is not going to work in a comedy routine, is it? Stand-up comedy?
No, it worked in a comedy routine too.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But the thing is, the comedy routine, you need a left turn somewhere,
Right.
a
Right.
surprise that this is the logical way of doing it.
Yeah.
Um,
Or an
but
unexpected connection, if you will.
unexpected connection or exaggeration of something,
Exaggeration.
or some like, yes, I was successful in what I wanted to get, but it backfired on me, and now I have this other problem.
Right.
So
I got
you
it.
you come up with, there are different ways of twisting it around, but yes, it works in the comedy routine as far as I know as well.
So the call to action is more likely to be given a yes or
Yes.
a click if you
Yes.
had set everything up with your major premise and then created this emotional connection and made it
Yes.
colorful and stimulates their imagination of their future
Yeah.
self.
Yes, and on a simplest thing, you see YouTubers say you need to go like and subscribe to my
Right.
channel.
Yeah.
They're giving you, so,
Right.
hey, viewer character,
Yeah.
if you really enjoyed this, right? So they're giving you a mini short version of this, and you found it helpful, the stuff, the results. Then call to action: do this and do that, and share it
Yeah.
with other people.
Right.
So there you go. That's a mini two
Yeah.
sentence version of the whole thing.
It's good. No, I think I like it. So there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And hopefully
Yes.
they've met you. They've met you too. So
And I highly recommend with only like one sentence per.
yeah.
So you end up, as I said, with a 300 character version of it. I
Yeah.
mean, 300 word
Word.
version of it,
Yeah.
which is a good length for a post, a good
Yeah,
length
by the way,
for
it's
a
good
short
for
video.
the shortest form of a blog post,
Yes.
300 words. So
Yeah. Then you can take each one of those lines and then
expand.
It's to expand it into a paragraph. Now you have a landing page or sales
Right.
page or
Or
whatever
you
it
have
is.
a 2,000 word blog post, something
Yeah,
like
there
that.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
This is good. This is good. The other methodology that I always recommend to people in terms of, we're talking about the how to create. So last week we touched on the how in terms of, I like this because of the structure. Man, I'm probably one of the most unstructured persons when it comes to creating content. But this would be very helpful to me if I applied it in what I do, in particular because we're seeing this transition now from
yes.
strictly video to
Yes.
video translated into text and then becoming blog post for the Google spiders and the Bing. I don't know, they're Bing bugs. Bing
Mhm.
does exist as a search engine because we've actually had
Yes.
some good experiences with Bing recently in terms of driving traffic.
Now you
Um,
just said something that I want to push back on a
yeah.
bit.
Okay.
You said I don't have any structure, and I bet if you have somebody else or yourself go through your last 10, 15, 20 videos,
Yeah.
they find the common thread of you always do it this way. You do this first, you do that first. So you do have it. And
Yeah.
my
There's a basic structure to what I do, which
correct.
is I will, for example, and they're variations on a theme. I will take a piece
Yes.
of video from a scene, for example, at the beach, and I
Yes.
will put some text over it. And that
Yeah.
text will have a message. And then I may or may not actually do a voiceover and may or
Correct.
may not add music to it as a popular tune.
Yes.
So that insofar as that structure is concerned, yes, but I don't necessarily say, here's what I'm going to tell you, here's what I'm telling you, and that's what I told you.
Yes.
I,
There
I
you
don't
go.
have enough time in 15 seconds or 60 seconds to do that. Although commercials do that. And John and I had actually worked on a couple of commercials, where we tried a 15-second. It was way too short, but we had a
Yeah.
30-second and a 60-second one. And there was an actual progression. Like, it was about
Yes.
our 6-minute webinar idea, which was
Yes.
we went from, it's hard to keep people's attention. Webinars are too difficult. They take too long. Here's what you're going to do. It's problematic. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to solve it by giving you a shorter
Yes.
form.
You
But
got it.
in 30 seconds or so, that's a tough one. And I have more
Well,
respect for people who create commercials now.
so actually, that's an interesting point,
Yeah.
which leads to the next thing that I was going to
Okay.
point out here. So
Yeah.
there is a most common mistake that happens,
Okay.
right? The wrong way of doing it, which is
Right.
the non-marketer, the non-copywriter person
Right.
usually naturally talk about it like that. Guess where do they start in these 7 steps in communication, in writing their
Well, I
message?
I do think they start with the problem because they're not necessarily calling. They're kind of
That's where they should start.
everybody. They probably should start with the individual, attract that perfect person.
Yes, but what I'm asking is the ones that they don't know that. Where do you think they start by mistake?
By this thing, they probably start at the end.
They start here.
Oh, there. Okay, they start
Yeah,
selling the plan.
they,
Okay,
they talk about their product.
or
They
the
talk about
features
their
of the product.
program.
Yeah,
So introducing, my get
Blammo,
thousand leads.
the new
Yes,
bathroom cleaner.
yes,
Blammo.
yes. So they forget to talk about themselves or the character or the problem. They are very much in love with their own product. Like Jay Abraham says, most
Right.
entrepreneurs, they're in love with their product, but
True.
they need to be fall in love with their customer.
Yeah.
Right. So this is where people usually start. And without all of this, which doesn't have any of the know, like, and trust in it,
Right.
I'm not interested in anybody's product. If
Mm.
they start with that, I am in what's in it for me stage.
Do you know,
Right.
the drug companies do a great job with TV commercials on this because
Yes.
they will show the people, attract the attention. They say, "Hey, are you someone with psoriasis? Do you have
You got it.
eczema? And you need to get your skin clean and
Yeah.
clear? And want
Do
to
you always feel
short
tired
sleeves?"
in the afternoon?
Yeah, all
Yeah.
that stuff. And
Yeah.
but they're calling out the problem, but they are calling out individuals in terms of they throw up a number of different people to whom the audience can relate. There'll be an older
Yeah. Well,
person.
it depends. If it's a let's say joint pain
Right.
medicine, it's usually they're showing you the elderly people,
Right.
right? So
Right.
they're using the visual elements of the character
And
there.
doing it very quickly to establish
Yes,
they don't have to say I've been there before. It's
yes,
implied that other
yes,
people have been there before, and then you've got the empathy, the emotional connection
yes.
of seeing grandma struggling to get out of a chair.
Or play, or even even hitting the emotional chord higher,
Right.
with like not being able to play with the grandchildren,
Right.
or pick them up,
Exactly. Yep.
or that sort of thing. So those are the external internal parts of the
Mhm.
problem.
Mhm.
But yeah, going back to the point, usually people start talking about this is the solution that I have, and I would encourage everyone to always start, this is the problem I solve and for whom,
Yeah, but
right? Yeah.
or they start talking about all the different features of their product or service without
Oh
even
yes.
mentioning benefits.
Yes, there you go.
So this
Without
the
they're
what's
all
next
the
for me is
features without connected to any without connecting them to any pain.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
You gotta start with pain first, so to speak. I mean, some
Yeah.
people just promise the glorious future without necessarily going into the pain or agitating pain
Yes.
like traditional marketers do.
So I know
Yeah.
we have like a half an hour kind of a thing, and we are over 25 minutes. So
Wow.
let's follow.
How did we do that? This is really you've got me enthralled and interested in the whole
Yes. So let's follow our own advice. We
Yeah.
told them what we're going to tell them. We
Yeah.
told them, let's just tell them what we just told them. So why don't
Unbelievable.
you, would you like to summarize today's?
I don't know if I'm fully capable of summarizing based on what's going on next door to me. But
We don't hear anything, so we're good. So go for it.
oh, that's actually pretty good so far. Well, so what we're talking about is this particular methodology that Dr. Kayvon K has been talking to us about, um, relies upon the hero's journey. And in doing so, it calls out to a person. It then makes a connection with them based upon empathy and similar experiences or whatever you want to call it. It does it well, sorry, it talks about the problem, then it goes into that giving that person a little bit more emotional connection, and then offering a particular system or methodology, then further going on to, by the way, I can't see it because my reading glasses are fogged, going into the call to action. So buy this now, subscribe, like, whatever it turns out to be. And then going back, I can't read that. What is that?
If it says that results in, so they follow, if they
They follow, they get the results, and they live happily ever after.
or if they don't,
Then
it's
they're
going to be
screwed, and they
failure and tragic results.
yeah, they're going to indecision will lead to perdition, which
Yes.
is total annihilation, and they're wiped off the planet for good
Yes.
without having your product or
It
service.
is important to not only give them the preview of the climactic scene, but
Right.
also preview of what would happen if you don't do this.
The epilogue of Scrooge, if he had
Yes.
not, been nice to people.
So do you want they lived happily ever after, or do you want and nobody ever heard from them ever again?
Well, people, it's interesting because I've seen this done in webinars a lot of times, or
Yeah.
a video sales letter, which is you have two choices now. One is to do nothing, stay the same, or
Yeah.
decline into
Yes.
falling into an abyss. They don't quite say it that way.
Yes.
Try to struggle on your own to figure out this, which you could do because there are many YouTube videos out there
Yeah.
that you can do, but it may take you several years versus a few months.
Yes.
Or and the or is follow my 3-step system and enjoy positive cash flow in less than 3 months.
Yes. There you go.
Like that.
Just
I
like
don't
that,
know.
as simple as that.
Find your profits in
That was
under
perfect summary, Dr. V. That was perfect
Oh,
summary.
thank you.
Yes.
So
And I see John just messaged us that says, "Hey, sorry I didn't make it today. I am in a zone where I can't seem to get onto Mellow."
It's a party zone, probably.
Yes, it's okay, John. We would have loved to have you here, but if can't happen today, next time, right?
We'll see you next time. And by the way, John, please enjoy Mexican Independence Day.
Happy
Viva
May
Mexico!
Mexican Independence to you.
Yes, he did have a lot of Mexican workers on their farm. So he does enjoy Mexican food, especially tamales. So, all right.
I don't know which one tamales is, but I like all Mexican food.
You like all Mexican food. Well, you must have had a lot of it when you were in Mexico because clearly you enjoyed yourself with your sombrero and your sarape.
Yes.
See,
I was tempted to just move there. They
I
are
wish
my people.
my people, exactly, my people. So it's, I mean, you may move there eventually too. There's huge expat community in
And
Mexico.
there is a huge backlash.
Oh, there is? What do you mean backlash on whom?
As in, people, local people, they're really unhappy with the because of all of the people who go there, and they have American dollar, and so they pay high for rent. So rent for local people is much
Oh yeah,
higher,
yeah. Well,
expenses, and that so the it's all of the people who go there are making it life harder for people who live there. So there's a backlash there too.
yeah. Well, that's yeah. Yes and no. I mean, because the reality is too, if they all disappeared, life would become far more difficult because
Yeah, but
the dollars would disappear. So
like
we
Mexican
still all
people, like any other group of people, there are we have the short-sighted ones and the ones that they always complain or that sort of thing. So there are no exceptions. They have the ones
no,
that they don't think about the all aspects of it anyway.
yeah. Well, it's just that's human nature. Is like, okay, this has come in. It's good and it's bad. It's like the end result was total devastation, or everybody lived happily ever after.
Yeah,
Don't throw that ring in the volcano. That's all I'm saying.
yeah. Let's take it to Mordor.
Take it to Mordor. If you want those
Yes,
dollars, they'll help your peso. So,
yes.
all right. I think
Well,
that's it.
I hope that was helpful.
It was great. I really enjoyed it, and it went by very, very quickly. So we do know the vast majority of you are watching on replay, and because of that, if you could please use the hashtag replay, that lets us know that you actually saw this. And if you have any questions or comments or other topics you'd like us to discuss on getting moving and getting unstuck so you can make your own entrepreneurial luck, put it down below because we're broadcasting right now in 10, count them, 10 different locations. So any final words, Dr. K?
No, I think we had a great conversation. It just flew by.
Yeah, it was really fast.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed, and I'm definitely going to download this one because this is going to provide us with some nice little outtakes that we can repurpose. So that's one of the reasons why we do live. And so please join us next time live if it's 2 p.m. Pacific on Friday or 5 p.m. Eastern on that same Friday. It's time for the Do It Now show. And now we got to go. So have a wonderful weekend and